Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Put.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. We'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. We'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact.
Here's the sound. How you doing? Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the show. Today's 24th of December, right here. December 24th, 2014. We have a moon sign in Aquarius, a sun sign in Capricorn. Capricorn's an earth sign. Aquarius is an air sign, so the elements we're dealing with today are the conscious mind is earth, physical things, and the unconscious mind is air, words and actions. Okay, so we want to imagine how these things work together, right? That's the idea of what we're trying to figure out here. We're trying to look, it's real simple, again, and I just repeat this every day. Everything is energy. Energy is around us, and as we understand the energy that we're moving in and through, then we are able to be a bit more effective in life. This energy here is all the energy based upon where the planetary positions are, given the understanding and idea that the energies give off vibrations, and we are affected by these vibrations. The names of the different astrological signs are all names given so that we can help to understand what these energies are. So over time we've learned to understand the different ways that particular signs, an earth sign act versus an air sign, and so on and so forth. Not supposed to give our power up to astrology. Nothing to give your power up to. It's just looking at the weather. It's just like assigning, different ideas to different weather patterns, basically, so that we can understand them a little better. Kind of like when we go on a computer and we have little icons that help us to understand groupings of words. So instead of having to have groupings of words, you just have a little icon. That kind of idea. So we have all these little icons, these little ways that we summarize. So fire, water, air, earth. These are the different elements that are out there. Earth is a product of the fire, water, the air, the idea, the emotions, the words, and the actions, and they all come together to form the earth. On the earth, we have the opportunity to live and do things differently in the physical world than we do in the other realms. However, we have to keep in mind that the earth is not the be-all, end-all of everything. It's just one aspect of the energy, and it's actually a lower aspect of the energy. Because if we go higher up to the other vibrations, we're experiencing something a little bit more, right? So you all know this. I've said this over and over, and it's just good to always refresh ourselves on it. Think about it a little bit differently each time. So with the physical world, career is involved, the body is associated with it, whatever is part of that physical world. And a tarot card that represents the card of Capricorn is the tarot card of the devil. The reason is that we have to look past the illusion of what is taking place in the physical world, and therefore we find out that there's something much more. That's it. So we have Earth. The physical world is the conscious mind of things we think about, in the front part of our mind when we're awake, when we're moving around, what we're consciously aware of. The unconscious mind, what's under the surface, what's bubbling under the surface, and here we have Aquarius. So we have air. Air moves, earth is stable, so we know that our conscious mind has some stability to it, dealing with the physical world. Our unconscious mind has this air movement going on. So there's something behind the scenes that's really trying to rise to the surface. Words and actions are associated with air, and so as we move through the day, we start to see how this air bubbling under the surface is affecting what's going on in our physical world. How are the words and the actions bubbling under the surface affecting things in the physical reality that we're living in? And today, being the day before Christmas, there's a lot of thoughts going on. A lot of people are dealing with physical things, rushing out to make sure they get that physical item so they can give to somebody to, show them some form of appreciation, or for some to fulfill what they believe is an obligation they have to fulfill by making sure that somebody has a thing on a particular time to open. Otherwise, the end of the world might happen if you don't have that thing to open up on that special day. So anyway, this is what's going on out there, right? So this is what we're dealing with as we go forth and we look at the energies associated with that. We see that later this evening, 5:26 p.m., this is all Pacific time, we've got Mercury and Uranus are going to be at odds with each other, having a square. It's about time when people are gathered together this evening. There's a lot of communication. That's what Mercury is, the communicator. A lot of communications, a lot of things going on, but they run into a break, a square, and something unexpected is going on. What is this unexpected change? Well, we'll find out as time goes on. However, I believe that there's something dealing with the aspect of truthfulness that we're going to be dealing with. Yesterday we had a sign that took place, hasn't taken place since about the 80s. This is Saturn and went and entered Sagittarius, the truth bringer. Saturn is discipline. So we've got this discipline going on here, and this is a long-lasting sign that will be going on for some time, so we'll feel the energies of it. And so as we have this truthfulness out there, I think perhaps that's going to stimulate a lot of what's going on in our world. Between the Mercury communication, here we have the words and the action of Aquarius in a sextile at 5:26, 7:30 tonight is that square, and then there's a conjunction between Aquarius and Mars later at 10:30. So unexpected changes, Mars, which could be aggression, action, activity. A lot of activity takes place, in the evening times on Christmas Eve as people are really scampering to get their last minute preparations. But perhaps this sense of truthfulness that people are understanding and experiencing is going to affect some of these things. Every year there are debates about what Christmas is about and what Christmas isn't about. And as we move forth with this idea of Christmas and come to an understanding, there perhaps will be more and more discussions about that particular thing. I've heard lots of discussions taking place over the course of this year that are different than I've heard other years, which is really awesome because it gives us an opportunity to understand that people are changing. People's minds are opening up to different ideas, to different concepts about things, looking at things in a different way. Some people have never considered looking at things in a different way about this holiday, and some people have, not done anything different. So between those two, sometimes they can clash. That could be the unexpected change, or maybe just some surprises that come about through it. Anyway, should be an interesting time. Just keep in mind, keep your wits about you, whatever's going on. We also have a lot of tensions in the world. And if we look at this sign here of Mars, Mars is a sign that deals with energy that could be aggressive or passionate, just depending on how it is expressed. And we really want to make sure that our words and our actions aren't being fueled by anger. There's a lot of anger in the world. We want to find a way to dissipate that. Creativity is a way that we dissipate that, using our energy in a creative way as opposed to a non-creative way. Numerology for today in the Gregorian calendar is 17, becoming an 8. You get that by the 12 plus the 24 plus the 2014. Okay, I'll come back to that in a moment. Over here on the Jewish calendar, today is the last day of Hanukkah. Very last day of Hanukkah, and it is Tu Tevet. Let's take a look at what the daily thought for today is. When the soul awakens, it descends like a fire from heaven. In a moment of surprise, we discover something so powerful, so beyond our persona, we can't believe it is part of us. In truth, we are part of it. Okay? So, we want to take a look at our numerology, so we know that Tevet is 10. We have a 2. And we have the year 5775. So, these are the numerologies and the way we arrive at them today. The Gregorian calendar, it's 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 4 adds up to 17. 1 plus 7 equals 8. So our numerology on the Gregorian calendar is the 8. Jewish calendar is different. It's a number 9. We get that from the 10. 1 plus 0 plus the 2 plus the 5 plus the 7 plus the 7 plus the 5 added together. That's a 27. 2 plus 7 is 9. So we have an 8 and a 9. Just one off. Yesterday I was incorrect about when I did the numerology. I was one off. So yesterday should have been a 7 and an 8. Today would be an 8 and a 9. And so we know that the number of 8 is just before it becomes that last number. Think of the numbers 1 through 9, and then they jump up to the next number. So you have a group of numbers that are the single numbers, and then they jump up to become the next order, the double numbers, so you go to the next level. So on the one hand, number 9, we're getting ready to go to the next level, and on the other one, we're just about to take that last step within there. We'll just leave it at that. I'm going to move forward. Look at our moon phase for today. We have that slight sliver past the new moon. It's the waxing moon, 9% of the way full. Spaceweather.com, solar wind is currently at 509.6 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is between a 2 and a 4. Big corona hole on the bottom, one up top, nothing directly facing us. M class flare possibility is 60%, dropped down from 75. And X class is dropping down also from 25 down to 20. Geomagnetic storm activity 40 down to 15 in the mid latitudes, high latitudes going from 60 all the way down to 20. So there's a big drop off in the energy that's taking place around us from the cosmos. And over and up in the sky tonight, right here, the 24th, you see Venus. And this time, instead of Venus being directly below, it's going to be down below and to the right. Left of the moon, we'll see Mars. And we see the Capricornus is the area where we're at, which signifies and confirms us being in the sign of Capricorn. Alright, there you go. That is our energy starting us off. UFO news is up next. Let's get to it.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. Let's look at our first story here. UFO makes an amazing maneuver captured by video on the ISS camera. Anyone can view the 24-hour live feed of the International Space Station. The feed is always available for scrutiny of curious individuals who want to watch it. Because of the availability of the video footage on the public and thousands of people who watch the ISS cam 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, amazing footage shows mysterious activities surface from time to time. On the 29th of November, the camera of the International Space Station caught a UFO flying past it. Well, this one doesn't make the video incredible or unusual because of all the space junk commonly captured by the ISS. This November 29th footage was different. When the unidentified flying object comes into view at the center of the camera, it abruptly makes a complete 90-degree turn and moves approximately 3 times than its normal speed until it disappears from the camera's sight. At the 8-second mark of the video, the object first appears on the right side of the screen and moves towards the left. Now watch. Okay, let's check this out again. So here we said 8-second video. 8 seconds in, we start to see it. 6, 7, and 8. Comes in real quick right there. Okay, and one more time. This is where you're going to see it, right down there. Okay, here we're looking for the 8-second mark. Let me freeze it right there. Okay, I'm going to start to see it. It just comes very, very quickly. There it goes, and then it makes a thing and makes a beeline up this way. When you watch it larger, you'll be able to see it better. Up by the sun, Mothership leaves the sun causing solar explosion. Okay, not the first time we've seen and are aware of something taking place up there by the sun. There we go. Right here is our object. I was looking at the Helio viewer online and noticed this giant triangle UFO leaving our sun. It exited, caused a massive solar explosion. I say in the video that the UFO is moon size, but in the lower left corner, Earth size, which is smaller than its mothership. Okay. Okay. So there you go. Alright, so let's move from there. This is an article over at UFO Digest. Talks about the credibility of UFO witnesses. Ever since the emergence of flying saucers in the 20th century, a heated debate has raged between deniers, military counterintelligence operations, the witnesses themselves, and even the media's role in the phenomenon. Although there have been undeniable evidence, and according to physicist Stanton Friedman in a court of law, the mountain of supporting testimony would have long ago made the case, still the controversy continues. There will always be the unscrupulous element that from the 40s to the 90s used faked or staged photography, often with dramatic effects. By the mid-90s, the application known as Photoshop could be used to generate high-definition images that are very hard to distinguish from real footage. Many argue that military counterintelligence operations have for a decade been staging a surreal and shadowy ultra-secret campaign to mislead the public about the supposed authenticity of flying saucers so as to hide the ongoing development of X platforms and black operations, even cattle mutilations. Recently, a retired scientist made what would be called a deathbed admission of his knowledge of a government involvement with UFO entities as part of a shared technological program that had secretly been underway for decades. Boyd Bushman allowed in an extensive interview of his intimate knowledge of such details shortly before his death on August 7th of this year. However, once again, the ugly head of counterintelligence reared itself and has cast a doubt on Bushman's testimony. During the course of the filmed interview, Bushman exhibits a number of glossy photos of UFOs and of a supposed extraterrestrial entity. The entity appears somewhat questionable in appearance, almost uncanny, resembling the fledgling attempts of the 50s and 60s low-budget depictions of sci-fi space creatures. In truth, an individual did reveal that the image of an alien from another planet was indeed the photo of a toy space alien made of plastic, sold to someone late in the 50s. So why would a distinguished government scientist allow his testimony to be tarnished by such an aberration? Had he become senile and confused? Had the evidence even handed him to the present during the course of his interview he had trustingly accepted? Or perhaps he was just part of a counterintelligence ploy to not only discredit Boyd Bushman, but the entire premise of the UFOs as being extrasolar in origin in the first place. Such confusion and subterfuge has continually fueled the argument on both sides that either the powers that be are really hiding something, if they are putting this much effort into battling the credibility question, or that there really is nothing more to UFOs than misidentification of equipment, experimental or conventional aircraft, as well as wild, unproven speculation and conspiracy theory. Okay, there's a lot more to this article, but you get the idea where it's going, right? That there's just all this disinformation that's really throws a lot of problems into the mix, because it's hard to decipher what's real, what's not, when you've got those that are faking it out there. Why would someone choose to fake this? I don't know. I guess Some think it's funny. Usually the ones who are faking it aren't those who really believe in the technology, or believe in the situation that's taking place, and so they just throw it out there because they think it's funny. Ha ha ha. Not realizing how it just really muddies the waters even more. But those who know. This is one of these things, one of these situations where if you understand what's going on, you understand. And we live in a society where there's that separation going on, and there's those who understand what's going on and have done the research and know what's taking place out in the universe, and then there's those who are just absolutely clueless and are never going to get it. And all we can do is just, let them have their way, and one day their eyes will be opened when they see something. Here's an article dealing exactly with that, how a UFO sighting can change a person's life into a passion. This is by Pat Reagan. I recently reported a UFO sighting from England's Manchester area. Scott Williams Collier had kindly forwarded details to me of an interesting UFO sighting that he had witnessed. UFO witnesses may naturally just drift away from after such a sighting, yet one or two stayed a course, and this is largely because they wish to discover more. Scott fits into this category. Since the UFO sighting, Scott has been so mystified by what he saw that he now has decided to set up a dedicated UFO website page on Facebook called UFO Reporter 51. Check out Scott's page here. There's a link right there where you can go to it at Facebook. It's facebook.com/UFO Reporter 1. Scott hopes that other witnesses will pop up to share their UFO stories so a greater degree of openness and understanding may be had over this amazing subject. Okay, and he goes on to say, I've always been intrigued by ufology and the possibility of life on other planets, and if so, do they visit us here on Earth? Having a galaxy so vast, the possibilities are endless. After seeing something astounding back in August, my interest has turned more into a passion to connect with people, like-minded people, and people who have had similar experiences, and to seek out the truth. Personally, I find it encouraging that good people like Scott are prepared to come out and courageously investigate what many die-hard critics instantly put down without question. All right, let's move from there to the next story here. It's called The Dominant Life Form in the Cosmos is Probably Super Intelligent Robots, and that our first alien encounter might be with these robots. This has certainly been a speculation we've had and we've discussed. It's been part of movies, part of our storyline for a while. If and when we finally encounter aliens, they probably won't look like green men or spiny insectoids. It's likely they won't be biological creatures at all, but rather advanced robots that outstrip our intelligence in every conceivable way. While scores of philosophers, scientists, and futurists have prophesied the rise of artificial intelligence and the impending singularity, most have restricted their predictions to Earth. Few thinkers outside the realm of science fiction, that is, have considered the notion that artificial intelligence is already out there and has been for eons. Susan Schneider, a professor of philosophy at the University of Connecticut, is one who has. She joins a handful of astronomers, including Seth Shostak, director of NASA's Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, or SETI, NASA astrobiologist Paul Davies, and Library of Congress Chair in Astrobiology Stephen Dick, in exposing the view that dominant intelligence in the cosmos is probably artificial. In her paper Alien Minds, written for a forthcoming NASA publication, Snyder describes why alien life forms are likely to be synthetic and how such creatures might think. Most people don't have an iconic idea of aliens as these biological creatures. That doesn't make any sense from a time-scale argument, Shostak told me. I bet dozens of astronomers coffee that if we pick up an alien signal, it'll be artificial life. With the latest updates from NASA's Kepler mission showing potentially habitable worlds strewn across the galaxy, it's becoming harder and harder to assert that we're all alone in this universe, and if and when we do encounter intelligent life forms, we'll want to communicate with them, which means they'll need some basis for understanding their cognition. But the vast majority of astrobiologists who study single-cell life, alien intelligence isn't on the radar. If you ask me to bring together a panel of folks who have given the subject much thought, I would be hard-pressed, says Shostak. Some think about communication strategies, of course, but few consider the nature of alien intelligence. Snyder's paper is among the first to tackle the subject. It says everything about their cognition, how their brains receive and process information, what their goals and incentives are, could be vastly different from our own, Snyder told me. Astrobiologists need to start thinking about the possibility of very different modes of cognition, to wit, the case of artificial intelligence. There's an important distinction here from just artificial intelligence, Snyder told me. I'm not saying that we're going to be running into IBM processors in outer space. In all likelihood, the intelligence will be more sophisticated than any human can understand. Does that mean we're going to be running into like the Daleks? Exterminate, exterminate. Something crazy like this, or danger, Will Robinson, danger. I don't know. Okay, this last piece here is dealing with, it's an article dealing with the ASHTAR command and the Space Brotherhood. Now, a lot of people have different thoughts about the Brotherhood and the ASHTAR command. Is it real? Is it not? Are they a scam? Are they not a scam? Are they out to get us? Or are they out to befriend us? Or maybe none of the above. I like to look at all of this information, whatever the case may be, put it out there so we can all look at it and decide. If nothing else, if these are the bad guys, so to speak, then it gives us an opportunity to see what they're thinking. So maybe we have a different understanding about what they're thinking. So when and if something occurs with them, we might understand a little bit about what they're doing. And if they happen to be one of the good guys, then we can kind of see how they're trying to assist us. Either way, the information is the important part. Sometimes we get caught up and confused in who the messengers are, and sometimes the messengers just get in the way of the message. So in that regard, I present this article so we can look at the information and decide for ourselves how this information might be valuable. Maybe there might be just a nugget of truth in here that might be helpful and everything else is nonsense, or vice versa. According to this article by Sean Castile, it says perhaps the most important unanswered question about the UFO community grapples with is where is the phenomena leading us and why we have had this seemingly impenetrable mystery thrust upon us, and whom. Generally accepted theories run the gamut from the invasion of demonic people eaters to morally indifferent scientific space explorers seeking to examine the catalog of Earth and its inhabitants. But a new book from Inner Light Global Communications offers much more positive and reassuring answer than the most basic of mysteries. In Cosmic Revelations Till the End of Time, channeled prophecies from the Galactic Guardians, two female writers, Carol Ann Rodriguez and the late Thelma Terrell, who later changed her name to Tuella on the advice of her extraterrestrial contactees, said that she has been incarnated here from another planet and play a large part in revealing the overall cosmic plan for mankind that offers mercy, salvation, and most importantly, survival for those who are fortunate enough to be chosen. It's an inarguably encouraging message, but should we take the source, a supposed galactic group of benevolent aliens at face value, or should we perhaps question the source? You can see there's a lot more to the article. I'm going to leave that for you to read. I simply wanted to bring that up. Again, we need to look at all of these sources. We don't want to be closed-minded and say, nope, we don't want to look at that because that could be bad for us, because maybe it could be something important information in there. There's always a grain of truth in whatever way you look at things, and if we could look for the grains of truth rather than just throwing the baby out with the bathwater, I think that we'd be doing ourselves a great service. So check it out. See what you think. Throw out some questions for some discussion, and let's see if we can look at all of this together, because one day we may be confronted with the situations, and the more that we know, the better. Information never hurts us to be able to use to decipher what it is we need to know. Okay, that's our UFO news. I'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Great Spirit, send
Continuing on. Good versus evil. This is what I want to talk about today. You know, every year when this time comes around, I always find that it's an interesting time of year. Sometimes and I'm sure you have the same situation. You mean well, you want to inform people about what's going on in the world, but the world's really filled with a lot of people that don't want to know what's going on. And so when times come up and you try to explain the reality of what these seasons are about and what they're not about, people don't want to hear it. And then sometimes I walk away feeling bad, like I'm ruining their holidays. How could I say such a thing during the holiday? How could I bring things up that this holiday really isn't what it's about, or that there's a deeper meaning to things that we need to look into? Who are you to do this? You're ruining everything. I get that. I'm sure you get that too. Doesn't make sense to me. I thought that, the idea is for us to keep learning and growing and understanding where the things we do in the world are off the mark so that we can get on the mark. Not everybody feels that way. You found that out, I've found that out, and a lot of others are finding that out as well. So where does this come from? Why do we have this division? Well, if we go to our spiritual esoteric books, of which the Bible is one, there's a continual story in there about good versus evil. Good versus evil, and that this battle's been going on for a long time. And that this battle has chosen sides. And every day people choose which side they're going to be on. And every day we see people choosing the side of which one they're going to be on. Some people, it starts off very simply, and they're not evil-minded people, but they just get fooled because they are convinced, or they're persuaded in some way, shape, or form to go and follow this path, which isn't the path that is doing any of the benefit that they think it is, because they've gotten caught up in the illusion of what's being told to them at this time, and they never bother to look at the true history of why something is going on. And sometimes knowing that true history is really what's going to make all the difference in the world, because it helps us to know where our energy is truly being channeled. So this article here, it says Revelation 12, a great battle between good and evil. At the end of Revelation 11, we read that after the seventh angel sounded his trumpet, the kingdom of the world are to become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and we shall reign forever and ever. This would begin the millennium, 1,000 years of peace that will occur after the wicked are destroyed. During this time, Christ will reign on earth, and earth will be renewed and receive its paradisical glory. Revelation 12, however, does not tell about the condition during the millennium as one might expect. Instead, Revelation 12 through 18 tells more about the battle between good and evil, the growth of the kingdoms of Satan in opposition to the kingdom of God, and the eventual destruction of the kingdoms of Satan in preparation for the millennium. In fact, Revelation 12 tells how John saw the great battle between the followers of Satan and the followers of God began back in the primordial life and has continued throughout the history of the earth. Most of the next few chapters, however, refer to what will happen in the later days. So, Revelation 12. And this comes to us from the LDS, Church of Latter-day Saints. And this is a nice, good breakdown here of Revelation. And here we go. So Joseph Smith's translation for Revelation 12 helps us understand that the woman John saw represents the Church of God, and that the man-child represents the kingdom of our God and his Christ, who was to rule the nations with a rod of iron, or the Word of God. Jesus himself set up his kingdom when he lived on earth. Apostasy drove it into the wilderness for centuries, which means it was not a governing influence in the lives of God's children on earth for a period of time. In the last days, however, the keys of the kingdom of God have been again restored to the earth and will be fully used when Christ comes again and reigns on earth throughout the millennium. Revelation 12, 3 through 4. 7 through 17, a red dragon with 7 horns, 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns. A dragon is identified in Revelation 12:9 as Satan, the devil. The heads represent his knowledge, the horns represent his power, and the crowns represent his rule or control over those who allow themselves to be overcome by him. Notice that according to the verse 4, he drew the third part of the stars of heaven. Modern revelation helps us understand this, represents those who followed him in the primordial life and were not permitted to obtain a body and continue their eternal progressions. War in heaven. This is verses 7 through 11. In Revelation 12, the prophet Joseph Smith said the contention in heaven was, Jesus said there would be certain souls that would not be saved, and that the devil said he would save them all, and laid his plans before the grand council, who gave their vote in favor of Jesus Christ. So the devil rose up in rebellion against God and was cast down with all those who put their heads for him. The war between good and evil is not over Satan's defeat in the primordial life, as Revelation 12:17 tells us that he continues to war against the saints of God. President Ezra Taft Benson said that we live in a day when John the Revelator saw Satan is waging a war against the members of the church who have testimonies, who are trying to keep the scriptures. All right, and let's go over to this other article here. This one is called Spiritual War, Good versus Evil. Battlefocused.org is the website. So I'm told that postmodern society does not respond well to epic stories. Therefore, it is better to tell small-scale personal stories or personal testimonies as a matter of record. Jesus Christ simply instructed many of the people whom he had healed to go home and tell others what great things God had done for them. Nevertheless, contrary to the foregoing stated cultural rejection of epic stories, the best-selling movies of the last 30 years have been grand tales of battles between good and evil. Star Wars, The Dark Knight, The Lord of Rings, Spider-Man, and even Harry Potter. Maybe the secret to their success has been the ability of the storytellers to tell the epic story by involving the audience in the personal lives of the main characters, but the epic dimension of the story was not diminished to favor the personal. Rather, the personal magnified the events of the epic stage, the consequences of the defeat, and the necessity of the struggle to sacrifice to achieve ultimate victory. To this point, the only epic that is marginalized in this postmodern culture is the one told by the Holy Bible, in particular the gospel story of Jesus Christ. Perhaps the difference is that in the movies are mere entertainment, and the stories within the Holy Bible are something more than fictional tall tales. Consider how much effort fictional arch-villains put into hiding their diabolical schemes until they are finally revealed in the climactic act of a story. If you were a character in one of the movies above, how would you react when the protagonists introduce you to the storyline? What would you do if they tried to persuade you to join their side? Would you withhold your decision until after the innocent have been enslaved or slaughtered? Maybe your friends and even your own family? As movies portray, the plot is more complex, and the difference between good and evil is sometimes obscure, even intentionally distorted, and the storyline makes more than 6 sequels to tell. Nevertheless, the truth remains. We live each day in a global battlefield in which a cosmic war is waged between the forces of good and the forces of evil. The war has been waged for thousands of years. The visible battlefield has spanned the entire surface of the earth and touched every human that has ever drawn breath up to this very moment. It is fought in multiple dimensions, some of which are beyond the spectrum visible to the human eye, and each side has forces in the spiritual realms that usually go unseen. It is important that you understand the big picture beyond what your senses are capable of discerning, but what matters most is the part of the battle which you can discern, and which you influence through your decisions and subsequent actions. Fists, knives, swords, spears, rifles, tanks, and a host of other weapons have been used as instruments of warfare, but within the realm of mortal men, the most powerful weapons in spiritual warfare are ideas expressed in words and made manifest by actions. Ideas touch and transform human minds and human beings, the minds, hearts, their souls, and their spirits. The evidence can be seen in their faces, their hands, and their feet, their words and their deeds. Ideas can enslave them or set them free, can bring life or can result in death. You can choose to be a spectator or a victim or a warrior or a hero. You can even choose sides, but you cannot be neutral. The choices have everlasting consequences in this life and the next. If serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your forefathers served beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in the land where you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. Joshua 24:14-15. Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. He who does good is of God, and he who does evil has not seen God. John 1:11. And I ask you to share with us the hardships as a good soldier, following our Lord and King Jesus of Nazareth, the Christ, the Son of God. His disciples are fighting against the spiritual forces of darkness, commanded by a thief and a murderer named Satan, who has made false claims in order to be called the ruler of this world. All right, it says in his service, Robert S. Sims. So, what are we going to do here? How are we going to look at this? Well, I think it's pretty cut and dried, at least in my opinion. It's not like it's the first time that you're hearing this, right? This isn't the first time that we're hearing the story of good versus evil. We've had a whole lifetime and lifetimes hearing about this. So by now we should understand the difference. And if we're out there doing things that are not good, we've chosen to do so. And if we're doing things that are out there that are good, it's because we've chosen to do those as well. People have taken sides, whether they care to admit it or not. A lot of people take sides just because they follow along with the crowd. And following along with the crowd doesn't go anywhere, because the crowd, as it continues to get bigger and bigger and gets mixed with all sorts of people with all sorts of ideas, just kind of becomes chaotic. All we have to do is look at what's going on outside in the world around us these days, and we could see how people just jump to situations and jump into arguments that they shouldn't be a part of, simply because the crowd is moving that way, or simply because the color of the skin dictates that they're supposed to be out there, or something like this. It's all silly, the reasons why we choose to follow something. But over and over and over again, the Bible, the words of Jesus, the words of the prophets tell us, do not be deceived. Do not be deceived. And yet, what is the one thing that continues to happen? People are deceived. Are people not paying attention? It doesn't seem like it, because when good people are continuously deceived by the evil that's around them, it's hard to imagine that they're paying attention, or they're just so caught up. So at that point in time, the only thing I can think is we need to have compassion for those who continuously get caught up over and over and over again. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know. Unless you have some better ideas, it just makes no sense to me. And it's difficult to watch when good people continuously get caught up in things that just continue to deceive them. And we see it happening every day with the churches. We see it with the governments. We see it with every situation that's around the media. And yet people fall into the trap all the time, despite the continual warnings. And so here we are now, Christmas Eve, and it's a day when many people are saying this is the celebration of Jesus, but there are many people who are going to be celebrating Christmas that have nothing to do with Jesus and don't even bring him into the mix. Because the Christmas day is not a day that was set up for Jesus. It wasn't a special day. It was a Saturnalia festival, a festival of drunkenness and orgies that celebrated the return of the sun god, return of the sun. There's all the different deities, sun gods throughout time that have been lumped into one particular day. And it's not a day that is specially set aside to honor Jesus. It's just one, he's just one person, one being that is thrown into the mix. Walk around through the malls today. Walk around through your cities and see how many places there are that actually talk about Jesus versus how many are talking about Santa Claus and the Christmas holiday or the reindeers and the elves. And you will see that the balance is far greater for everything else but Jesus, but what this day is supposed to be celebrating. Again, I think that's part of the deception. If it's your birthday, don't you want to be recognized on your birthday and not a day that isn't your birthday? So for me, the way that I look at this day, look at the Christmas season, is a time when Jesus was conceived, because that does seem to follow within the timeline, that this was the time of the conception, not of the birth, and that the birth actually took place sometime in September, around the Feast of Tabernacles. There's a timeline in the Bible. We could follow it. We could see where and when and how it came to be. It's a time when biblical scholars feel that this is the birth of Jesus sometime in September. So we need to look at these things. We need to not be fooled, because as long as we keep being fooled, isn't that kind of a way of sort of being pushed into the side and taking sides with the evil? I don't know. Just some thoughts, some things for us to consider. Big questions, tough questions, but hey, very important questions indeed. All right, this article here, we're going to jump over to an article here. This is from Michelle Welling at her site, Cosmic Star Seeds. I've seen this before. I wanted to bring it up. 30 spiritual terms you should know. I'm just going to go through the terms. The article's available so you can read it. Awakening, vibration, soul, higher self, monad, creator, source, dimension, multidimensional, soul group or soulmates, dark night of the soul, spirit guides, guardian angel, twin flame, free will, universal law, ascension, incarnation, soul contract, life purpose, karma, chakra, DNA upgrade, meditation, aura, spiritual protection or clearing, Merkaba, new earth, forgiveness, love or loving yourself, gratitude, NDE. So how many of these words are you familiar with? My guess is you're probably familiar with most of them, because I know that those who are listening to the show and on a regular basis, you are already familiar with these things, and you're here because there is something that we're all having in common together. You know, we've kind of have our own little collective consciousness group that we have going on here, and each one of us are connected out there in the world in other groups that are like-minded, and so I have a feeling that you probably understand all of these. It's always a good little check for us, though, just to see what we do understand and what we don't. And I find that as I learn something new, and then time goes by and I go and relook at that information again, there's always seems to be something new I understand within there, because my understanding is grown, just as your understanding grows. And as it continues to grow, we start to see something we didn't see the previous time before. So just a good reminder, a good list. Michelle put together a really nice list there, and there you have it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our channeled message for today, and this comes to us from Archangel Gabriel. Gabriel was the one that we know that brought the message to not only Zechariah and Elizabeth that they were going to have a child, but also to Mary about the child. So here we go. This is a message from Archangel Gabriel. Check it out.
From Archangel Gabriel,
December 18, 2014.
by Marlene Swetleshoff.
Beloved ones, let us have discourse on the quality of love known as nurturing. Nurturing is one of the feminine qualities and embodies the power of love, which moves an individual forward and opens their heart. The unconditional love within feminine energy has a powerful magnetic quality, and is comprised of understanding, compassion, nurturing, and helpfulness. It is a passive but extremely powerful energy, for as an individual follows the ways of the heart, everyone around them feels it. One experiences themselves as strong, wise, loving, creative and gentle. They nurture themselves and are compassionate to themselves and others, knowing that they are valuable, lovable and respectable. They humbly hold themselves in the highest regard and self-respect, as a vessel for their divine essence. This self-awareness allows them to treat others with the same reverence and respect when they relate with each other. They nurture their body-mind when it is tired or overwhelmed by slowing down, resting and engaging in activities that relax and re-energize them. Nurturing leads to caring about others and seeking balance and peace within their family, home and community rather than thinking only about self and one's own personal gains. When each person chooses to nurture themselves to give them the space and time to align with their core desires and needs, they find nourishment for their souls and a reconnection with who they really are, a spiritual being. This alignment enables them to act from a place of authenticity and highest integrity in all that they do, to always be true to themselves. One receives uplifting sustenance from within and it helps the individual to see what really matters to them. They take the time each day to refresh their body, mind and spirit in whatever way is helpful in order to appreciate, validate and nurture their being, understanding that this practice creates their well-being. It helps them to establish and invigorate their purpose in life by creating a firm foundation of love. It enables the individual to leave a positive, authentic and powerful mark in their world. Nurturing is a way to show oneself appreciation for how they have expended their energy for the good of their family, their home, their community and their world. One has to know themselves to understand what needs nurturing at any given moment. Nurturing of self is a decision that is made about what is the best way to enhance the knowing of who one is and who they are meant to be. It means knowing what one needs to thrive in their daily environment and putting themselves at the top of their nurturing priority list, even above their children, family, friends and work. The nurturing of self means that one listens to one's inner guidance. It is guidance that always feels and sounds positive and uplifting. These transitional and shifting times that the world is now experiencing requires that each individual surrenders to the flow in their life and to make choices about how they want their lives to be. As they journey into the new reality, many of the choices they make are ones that define their holy essence and which defines their personality through the practice of heeding the gentle and nurturing qualities of their soul. They decide who they want to be and the life they want to live by being in deep communion with their inner selves and with nature. They decide on the spiritual virtues that speak most deeply to them. Knowing that these are the building blocks of spiritual character, they embrace their beliefs and stand tall in this knowledge, operating from a virtuous mindset that is powerful. This minimizes the time that is needed for them to spend on all the decisions they make, such as allowing their heart to follow their greatest passion in life. Following their passion always feels like joy when they surrender to it and also serves all whom they touch with the same energy. It nurtures an individual when they align to their highest self, the wisest counsel within them that is their spiritual support system. At any given moment, every single human being on earth has a spiritual support system that surrounds and guides them throughout all the moments of their days. This spiritual support system is also present in every part of nature, in every cell of every plant and in every molecule that forms the basis of every element. It permeates everything and everyone as they take time to be still in reverence of the spirit already present in their lives. One begins to see with increasing clarity the spiritual truths that lie at the center of everything they experience. They pray each day as they awake that they might see the holiness in every thought, idea and word that comes to them and in every aspect of their life on earth. A powerful way to nurture oneself is to engage in activities that bring them joy, such as gardening or reading, running or swimming or taking a walk. Nurturance of oneself through play brings one into balance when they have been working hard and can keep their mind focused with ease. Play helps to bring an individual into deeper communion with their soul as they are engaged in activities that feed their inner light. In nurturing themselves by having a playful mind, they are more able to adapt to changes in direction as the changes occur. Nurturing oneself with kindness and love is the responsibility of each individual as they continue to learn that they are never alone and that they are infinitely loved. Each individual is called upon to be a steward of the abilities and gifts that only they have. Treating oneself with tenderness, kindness, and appreciation and giving a small gift or token of gratitude and support to oneself and also to those around them is another way to nurture and empower one's spiritual connection. May each individual flourish and thrive in their daily lives by daily acknowledging one's spiritual connection through the kind acts and thoughts, which nurture and empower them. I am Archangel Gabriel.
Very nice message from Archangel Gabriel, but of course we'd expect nothing less. And that brings us to our meditation. I also have a link up here to some affirmations. These are from Louise Hay. She has a book, Heal Your Life, also Heal Your Body. I've been reading that, and great affirmations. I've brought these up, I think, in the past. Anyway, we're going to use some of these today, and check out the affirmations. They're really awesome. Really, really cool stuff. All right, let's jump into this for today. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath and exhale. Take another deep breath. Exhale again. One more deep breath. Hold it and exhale. Alright, let's imagine ourselves walking down the path of life, and we're looking at the world as it is today. And we see people on two sides of the issue, one on the side of good and one on the side of evil. And the ones that are on the side of evil, some of those are just moving with the crowd, not knowing what they're doing, just simply moving along because it seems that that is where everybody else is going, and therefore they're going to follow along. And as we see those individuals, we see confusion on them because they sense that something is not quite right. So we just imagine sending to them love and light. And as we do, we see that the confusion in their mind clears, and they open their eyes to see what's really going on around them. And as they do, it's very easy for them to let go of what they're doing and move to the side of good. And as we continue to see, we see that there are those who are truly moving along the path of evil, doing things that are evil-minded. And we send them love as well. Some of them change, some of them do not. But the one thing that occurs is this love goes in and it affects their lives. And it either dissipates them and removes them from being able to harm anyone, or it opens their eyes. And as we continue to walk along, we just imagine ourselves sending out this positivity, this love, this light, this goodness into the world, simply because that is what we are here to do. And as we see more people gathering on the side of good, the scale begins to tip to good. And the darkness and the evilness that is in the world begins to lessen and lessen. And as it becomes less and less, and good becomes more and more, we start to notice good things happen. And as the good happens, we realize with each and every passing moment that we have an opportunity at every given moment to change things to the better, simply by the way that we think, the way that we act. So as we continue to move throughout the world today, let's just be aware of all of the negativity and fears that are out there, so that we can just move past them, send them love, send them some prayers and positivity. And just know that every little bit helps. And that every one of us who is able to do and join in this process is helping the process move along. So let's just imagine the love going out around the planet, being absorbed down into this planet. Imagine the color green like the heart chakra and the planet absorbing this light. Imagine this energy going up into the cosmos where the space brothers and space sisters see us and smile down upon us. Imagine the planets and the stars all around us feeling this love that we are sending off. And let this be enough for today. Contemplate the affirmation, I forgive myself and set myself free. And as we forgive ourselves and do set ourselves free, we realize that forgiveness is easier than we could possibly imagine. And the only one holding us in any sort of state of punishment is ourselves. And when we unlock that door through forgiveness, we become free individually and collectively as well. So let's just imagine ourselves moving through life, sending love, sending light. Let our conscious mind come back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's the show for today. Whatever you're doing tonight, the rest of today, have a good time. Remember, this is an important time because it is a time that we can recognize as Jesus being conceived into the world. And we can begin to think of the preparation of his birth 9 months down the road. And let us just understand that with Jesus, with this conception, it's goodness being brought into the world. And let's just know that this is a great hope that lies within each one of us. And see if through our prayer and meditation we can come to understand even more what this really is all about and what this truly means. That's it for today. Have a great day. Have a great night. I'll be back tomorrow. Till then, I love you. Keep loving each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.